Hello and welcome to week 42 of the Foot Weekly podcast. I don't have my glamorous assistant Japes with me on this one, but equally as glamorous, we've got JoshXLs. Welcome back to the pod.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. It's my first content pod in feels like a month, something like that, and things have gone weird.
Yeah.
So, looking forward to this.
They certainly have. And on the supporter content pod last week, we did talk about the whole goalkeeper situation quite extensively. We'll probably talk about it a bit on this episode as we've got completely new guests, but let me introduce the rest of them. First of all, we have Jason, aka Kimpembro. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be back.
Well, yeah, and good to be back when I'm on the pod, because I think you've been on, is it once or twice? But I've not actually been on the podcast.
Yeah, I was on once before and you wasn't on.
Once.
Only once.
Only once, okay. And finally, joining the podcast after a little while, we have former EA community manager and, a bit of an insider, but now creates his own content. It is ChuBoi. Welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess, am I a bit of an insider? Who knows? It's a mystery.
It's been a while now, hasn't it? So I don't know how long you count as an insider for, but although I guess according to people on social media, you do still work there. Or has that died off a bit? Because people used to say, oh, you're still working at EA. But
it's died off. I mean, I don't spend too much time on social media anymore, just for mental sake.
Good move,
so, it's approaching the twilight, I would say, of the content career, but trying to find other things to get into. Of course, like FUT.GG, love that site, better than some sites, I know. Kimpembro, but whatever. That's definitely taken a lot of my interest. Looking forward to getting the new season started.
Yeah, indeed. Very exciting and something I've been spending a lot of time on myself. Now, let us get into pound for pound. We're still doing it just about this time of year. And we had a good nomination from JKL, one I wasn't expecting. He went for the striker Shapeshifters 𝘭𝘀𝘀 for 420k. He's an absolute monster in the box with an engine. He gets explosive and has that same 𝘭𝘀 sauce his cards tend to have that make him a handful. Really enjoying that card as a striker, though he probably would be a better cam. And Tom actually went for Camavinga, who, as an objective player, does look pretty ridiculous. Max, pace, and lengthy with an anchor. And actually, the time commitment isn't too bad or as bad as you'd think.
Yeah, he's actually one of the best left backs in the game now. So he's a very fair pound for pound. And the thing is, if you're into the menu grind kind of stuff, I think it's called silver shifting upgrade. Allows you to turn bronze and silvers into commons, and you can put those commons into the upgrade over about 5 days. It literally, for the sake of buying, I can't remember how many silvers it works out, you can get him pretty easy. So it's it is very, very obtainable from a crafting perspective. So yeah, he's cheap, but he's actually one of the best left backs on the game now. So very good choice.
Well, I was going to say, I said not a big time commitment, but that's because the last time I did this, I had so many silvers in my club that I just hadn't done anything with. So I was doing that crafting upgrade SBC to then submit players into whoever it was at the time. Was it Bamba? It was Bamba, wasn't it? And that was actually
good as well.
Yeah, that was very smooth to do for me because of having so many silvers. But I think I might have got through them now, so this would maybe be trickier. And I guess that was one of the criticisms, Josh, of this SBC last time.
It's not too bad. It's a menu grind in a way, because it's somewhere that you can put those kind of cards that you never really think about. And you've still got those bronze upgrades that allows you to put 11 bronze in to get 5 or 6 rare silvers. And that's the way I've been tackling it and coupling it with a minor league SBC and trying to create some sort of grind. It's made me about 300k in the last week, and I've got a bunch of untradeable stuff, including 97 Tony Marshall, which was unbelievable. Ooh. So there's definitely something still there in it, but for the people that want to kind of complete it quickly, silvers have been hovering around that 500 coin mark, and I can't remember. I'm with Jason there. I can't remember exactly how many it was, but it's something like 350 silvers that you need to put in, because the bronzes kind of replenish themselves through the bronze section. So it's just the silvers you need, and that kind of ends up working out at about 200,000 coins from scratch. Now, obviously, with that, you get the 50 times 80 plus double upgrades, and you get all of the gold packs. There's 10 non-rare golds and 1 rare gold. So there's a chance that you pack things in there, but it's quite a big coin outlay if you're just going to buy the silvers from scratch. So I can see why there's a bit of consternation from the people that want to do it quickly.
You get the guaranteed TOTS player at the end. You get the TOTS, then you get the guaranteed shapeshifter player as well. So, I mean, there's so much you get back from it. I actually think even if you was to do an initial outlay, there's still a lot of value in it.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Last time I packed my third dupe, Shapeshifters 𝗵𝗀𝗀, in that. And I mean, I love him. He's like the best centre-back on the game by some distance, in my opinion. But the third one wasn't nearly so useful as the first. So in terms of other pound-for-pound nominations, we've actually only got through one so far. But Jason, who would you go for as your pound-for-pound?
There's a few, because there's a lot of these like premium shapeshifters that are probably just going under the radar that are really cheap or worth trying. But I'm actually going to go for Zola. Zola's coming in about 250k, and he's just a lot of fun, really. He's kind of short and lean. He's like 5'6" with great dribbling, great shooting, 5-star skills. It's a bit of fun, really. 95 rated, 250k, very, very like fair in today's market, I think. And then from what I've seen as well, a lot of people are having a lot of fun with him. So I'm gonna go with Zola.
Yeah, I think if you compare him to a lot of players with similar stats, he does seem really good value. So I like that. The strength and aggression was surprising as well. I guess that's the whole shapeshifters thing, right? I mean, he's got...
Yeah, he's like 80 strength, 84 aggression, which is quite weird for Zola, but you take it.
Yeah. And he's not explosive, which, I mean, isn't a bad thing necessarily. So, a good nomination. What about you, Josh? Who would you go for?
So I'm going to stick with the Italian theme here, and I'm going to go for an SBC that I don't think was necessarily received all that well, and I definitely think it's because people don't really take too much notice of whether somebody's a premium shapeshifter or not. Obviously, if they're premium, they just get full chemistry. They're essentially like a hero, and this guy is a hero and will have, well, probably icon, I would say, over hero, and it's 𝘱𝘰𝗍𝘀𝘀 Buffon.
He's an icon.
Yeah, he's 45 years old, still getting an actual card in the game. Like, it's just ridiculous. But with his premium chemistry, you could now field a back three, because obviously everyone plays three back, of Buffon, Bonucci, and 𝘊𝘂𝑚, which is just delightful. You've still got, I think it's the flashback 𝘃𝑗 Bonucci SBC is still available. And then there was an SBC for a 𝘃𝑗 Moments 𝘊𝘂𝑚, but if you didn't do that, there's another one of him. But maybe we'll get even better versions of them. But that Buffon that was very Danny Aaron's on it. Anyway, yeah, he's 6'4", 4-star skill moves, 5-star weak foot. He's got really good pace. He's lengthy with pretty much anything you would give him. So, if you're going to go with a shadow, you don't need to give him an anchor if you want that like max pace. He gets to 99 sprint speed with a shadow. He's got maxed out defending. His physicals are just ridiculous. He's got decent passing, 97 short passing, 97 long passing. Now, 80 vision's a little bit low, but I don't think it matters too much. 99 reactions, 99 composure. He's just a lot of fun. And for 50k, can't really go wrong. I think he's an 85 rated squad or something like that. And most people, with the amount of fodder packs we're being given just from the menus, it's really easy to complete. And I kind of like that shout out to an old player to give him a usable card that you can put on the ball, get him up front, score some goals with him. Yeah,
a player I've enjoyed myself recently and is cheap, so I'll drop him in as a pound for pound, is the Gotze. More of a fan of players who haven't been shifted position too much, and I guess he's one of them. And I've just found him really effective as a sort of versatile winger because he can play wide in a three if you need to change your system a bit. He's very silky. I mean, his dribbling stats are ridiculously high, apart from annoyingly composure, which is a bit of a shame, and reactions aren't super high. But I mean, they're both like 93, 92, so it's pretty good. But he just feels really slippery on the ball. Put a hawk on him, basically max pace. I think he's 98 sprint speed and 99 acceleration. Decent physicals, actually, base 80 strength and 80 aggression. Obviously, really good passing and premium chemistry. So he's helping out with a few Bundesliga players that are more tricky to link. And he himself is getting full chem. Also, actually, he's one of those players that I'm not sure he necessarily needs the premium chemistry either. There are players out there that just, you think, surely they needed premium chem and didn't get it. And some players who probably didn't need it, who did get it. A bit of a weird one. Anyway. Sure, I might move on to you, but I know you haven't been super engaged with content recently. You're going to be carrying us through this EAFC chat towards the end. But what do you think about the content at the moment post-team of the season? It's definitely gone pretty silly for silly season. Do you like to see that? Is it something you would rather not see? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
So you know what? I think the last few weeks of content in Shapeshifters has been probably the best time of the year. I think it's much better than Team of the Season. I think Team of the Season is pretty much hasn't changed in about 6 years. It's the best players from each league. You get boosted stats, not even that boosted, because I feel like in the last 3 years, it hasn't been that exciting in terms of stats. One thing that always pissed me off was, I forget when that year was, that Luke Shaw only got like an 89 after having a great season. It's like, that's all you can give him, an 89. And they've kind of stuck with that theme for the last couple of years. And then Shapeshifters comes in, and you see goalkeepers at ST, Walker at goalkeeper. You see people doing skill runs with Czech, which is kind of funny just to see. And like you said, it's silly season, but you could argue and say that this is the most fun time of the year. It sucks that it's at the end of the year, but I mean, they got to keep people playing until the next game as much as possible. But you kind of would want to see these crazy stats, these crazy players a bit earlier in the year. But again, they know how to balance the year very smoothly to keep people playing. So this is smart by them to keep Shapeshifters at the end. And I hope that becomes a permanent thing where, like, all right, the serious stuff is over. As soon as 𝘅𝑇𝑠 is dead, just go dumb. Just do the wackiest things you've ever seen. And I think that would be like a very good way to end the year. So I think this is probably the best promo we've seen so far this year.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, there's been plenty of criticism of it as well, but I'm interested to know, Chu, do you think that the excitement is because of how strange the players are in terms of what they've done with them, or just because you've got very cheap players who are very, very good? Because I guess for me, it's hard to tell whether the excitement is because people are getting very, very good players for cheap, or because you've got, I don't know, 𝘭𝑪𝑎𝑣𝑜 playing right wing. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's a combination of both, to be honest with you. I kind of like how it's set up now, where it's like there are those players who are crazy expensive, the premium players like the 𝘭𝑪𝑎𝑣𝑜s and stuff like that. So like the high-end players are satisfied, but Ultimate Team, the majority of the players can't afford like millions of coins, like a player that is costing 2 million plus coins, right? So the fact that you get like the Camavinga objective, which is coin free, you get Maguire for under 200k, which is an ST. So the combination of price and wackiness is hitting just right, in my opinion.
That's a valid opinion. I mean, what do you think about that, Jason? Kimpembro?
Shapeshifters is a lot of fun, and I've always been an advocate of good cards should be accessible to pretty much the whole player base. I understand a lot of people probably don't like that. Well, there'll be a lot of people who don't like that idea, thinking that, there should only be a small amount of the community who should get to use these incredible players. I'm not really kind of on that fence. For instance, slight off topic, I've got no problems in people who want to use their loan cards in weekend league. Cards that they can't afford to buy. These top-end cards, they 20-game loan Ronaldos, let them use them, enjoy them. That's the purpose of the game, right? We're all playing the game for fun. And I think Shapeshifters and stuff is fun because it does realign the power curve in regards to like the cost. As, Josh was saying, you can get Buffon? How much was Buffon? Like 50k. And he's actually superb. He's up there with some of the top centre-backs that were like 300, 400, 500k that people just couldn't afford to buy. So I mean, I think it's a mixture of both. It's a bit of a strange one this year because they've really pushed goalkeepers and that's not something we've seen before. Normally it's been like, shapeshifter from CDM to striker or something like that. So this is particularly strange, but I'm all for it. The game is slowly coming towards the end of the cycle. It should be different. It should be interesting, a little bit of fun really. And I say that every time I see that 𝘭𝘍𝑜 play centre mid against me. I do want to turn my console off, but I'm all for it. I'm all for it. He was so cheap and he's so good, but I'm all for it.
It's interesting. I wish we'd had these guests on the podcast last week, where I think primarily our thoughts were it's put us off the game to some extent. I think that for a lot of people, yeah, it is fun, but it kills the grind that people have had across the cycle to build good teams because you can get them so cheaply now. But also, and Japes made this point quite well, the idea is that FUT enhances your fandom of football. And at least what we were saying on that podcast is does Buffon playing centre-back enhance fandom? Does 𝗵𝗲𝗀 playing right wing enhance fandom?
Oh my God, who cares?
Is that really something
No one cares.
Yeah, that's a fair point, because some people really don't care, but some people really do. Like, I've heard a lot of people, I mean, most of the comments we've got into the podcast have been that they don't like it and it's actually put them off.
The game's been out for 9 months.
Yeah.
You know that, right? 9 months of sweating.
But we've got another, I mean,
like,
depending on how much you're going to play, you've got another 3 months to go. It's
they'll
surprising.
disappear. Like, footies will make them disappear.
Yeah, I think that was a point that was made on the podcast, and I do agree. You know, ultimately, this isn't the end game, actually. And although these cards are very good, they've still got further to go on top of these.
They'll be gone in a couple of weeks with this power curve.
Yeah. No, I think that's a fair point. And ultimately, you know, I think there are plenty of players, if you don't want to use the players that are like really extreme position changes or goalkeepers, you're going to have to play against them, but there are plenty of options. You don't have to use them.
Yeah, exactly.
Josh, your thoughts on this? It'd be interesting to know, actually, because you weren't on last week.
Surely this is the part of the game where all of the like tension and pressure that people seem to dislike about the game gets removed.
Yeah.
And there's no pressure to win a game anymore. There's no pressure to get better rewards because it doesn't really matter now. And, you know, you're not going to get massively out-teamed because everyone can get at least a decent enough side together because most things are quite cheap. Like, if we're not going to set up a period of the game that is more just build any team you want with the players you want, if you want to have fun, if you want to be stupid, if you want to have Kyle Walker in net, but actually having 5-star skill moves and some decent outfield stats so you can go and skill runs with him, then like there's not that, like, surely we have to have a space to have fun rather than it feel like a competitive, like this has to be serious and everything has to represent real life. Like, this is surely where the game's always going to end up. And to kind of echo some of the other points, if you actually look at the ratings of the Shapeshifters compared to last year, have we had a 99 rated Shapeshifter yet this year?
We've only had a 199 rated
we
player.
have.
Just Pele.
Oh, we had Pele, didn't we? But last year we'd had, I think, 5 by this point because we'd had 99 Ronaldo and Messi and all of those. So there's still room for footies to push it up even higher. I think there's got to be a part of it where we remember that it's just a game and we're trying to have fun.
I won't lie, the most annoying thing as a former community manager, the reason why you go absolutely insane in that job is because the community literally doesn't know what they want. You know, I mean, I know there's different factions, but it's like you want change, but then you hate change. So it's like, okay, so like, what do you want then? It's like, if you change it, then they don't like because they want to do the same thing that they've always done. But then you do the same thing you've always done, and you say it's boring. So it's like, for me, the annoying people are the people that take the game way too seriously. And it's like, oh, it's got to be real. It's got to be this. Like, I'm sure we'll talk about it in FC24, the rumored women's ultimate team. Oh, women can't play with men. It's like, bro, who cares? It's a video game. Like, literally, like, what's the point of even getting annoyed about it? You said you wanted something new. Here's something new. If nothing new comes, then you say it's boring. So it's like, oh my God, what do you want?
Well, if we want to be tinfoil hat, maybe this is the strategy to mitigate some of that feeling, right? Do you know what I mean? I mean, if you put goalkeepers outfield and make them the best players in the game, then people can't really complain about women potentially being an ultimate team, which is one of the rumours. But just to take it back a bit, because I feel like I should probably put the argument forward for people who do feel a bit frustrated by this. I don't think it's just that it's goalkeepers outfield as such, but I think it's also just how ridiculously good some of these players are. Like Vanja Milinkovic-Savic is arguably the best midfielder in the game, best defensive midfielder. In fact, I think you could probably say he is. He was 130k. If you've been working across the year, grinding, you played every champs match during team of the season, and then suddenly, boom, like everyone can get a better defensive midfielder than you were working towards throughout team of the season. Maybe you spent big on a 𝘵𝘃𝘃 with the coins that you had. It does feel pretty bad. And I think while it is fun for people who are sort of semi-checked out and just like, oh, you know, who cares, like have a bit of fun with these random position swaps and stuff like that. I think if you are, I guess, a player who cares about the progression across the cycle, maybe it would have been nicer to have a few more weeks or maybe another month of progression continuing rather than, and yes, make the players cheaper, make them more fun, maybe add more skill moves and more weak foot as they've done. But they have kind of broken the power curve now to an extent that means that if you're someone who actually likes to keep improving your team across the cycle, it's so easy to do that now in terms of the actual quality of the players. And I think understandably a lot of people don't like the fact that, I don't know, Cech is the best striker in the game or whatever. It isn't something that feels great for
These
a lot of people.
These people actually exist?
I mean, I would say that I'm one of them, to be honest. I don't really like it that much. Like I'm having a bit of fun here and there, but to be honest, it's made me less engaged with the game than I was previously, I would say. Some people are just engaged with it in a different way. Like, I'm not a big content guy either. Like, I like content, I engage with content, I enjoy that connection between the players I've liked watching and using them on the pitch and how content can kind of feed into that. I like the live promos and things like that. But centre-back Buffon, I mean, he's one of the most iconic goalkeepers of his generation, and his best version is a centre-back. I don't think at all people are doing this because they want to use Buffon at centre-back. They're doing it because he's one of the best cheap centre-backs in the game with premium chemistry. So
yeah, but it's like, how many Buffons over the last 12 years we've seen the exact same Buffon? You know exactly what he's gonna do. Again, this goes back to my frustration about being a community manager. So you can't criticize the company for doing something different when we've all criticized them for not doing enough different. It's like the people who say like, oh, now we have too many promos. It's like, buddy, all we used to complain about is there's nothing to do. And then like I'm seeing the same people being like, there's too many cards. It's like, what did you think they're gonna do when you said you wanted more promos? when you wanted more content? Content means more cards. So it's like, I mean, what do we want? I know, again, we have different factions.
Yeah, I was going to say, are they the same people? I don't know. Maybe not.
No, there's different factions. Like I've literally seen content creators that I follow be like, there's too many cards now. I'm like, buddy, I could pull up tweets when I was community manager where you said this game was too boring. What did you expect? They will need to make money. We like cards. It's a win-win for everybody if there's more cards. Maybe it sucks that, you know, it's not as interesting, but you can't say you want more to do and then get mad that there's too many cards, because I always try to tell people, eventually, when it comes to content, EA will kind of give you what you want eventually. It might take some time, but eventually, when it comes to content, you'll get what you're asking for. Like this Walker goalkeeper thing. People have been asking for it for a while. You'll get it. People want to see, I want to see wacky goalkeepers. It took a while. You'll get it. You might not like it when you get it, but don't ask for it if you don't want to see it, right? But again, there are different factions. People do like the realism. The thing is, though, is that like, okay, who's better to keep happy? The people who like the progression, who are going to play anyway. This is coming from a business standpoint. Who do you want to appease in this scenario? The people who are going to grind and like the progression, they're going to come back next year anyway, or do you try to keep the people who may not come back because they think the game's too boring? I'm going to keep the people who may not come back because they're obviously, you can monetize them more, because the people who are grinding, they're going to come back either way, right? So I think it makes sense in a business standpoint too.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I totally get it from the content team's perspective why they would do this. I mean, it is something that is going to engage people in a way that they've not been engaged before. It gets people talking. It might get people back into the game. People are able to compete who maybe couldn't previously. There are loads of reasons to do it, and it's just not necessarily for me. And that's fine, because not all content is for everyone. And I've still had a bit of fun with playing striker Cech in goal and going on a few fun skill runs with him, which, you know, it's not realistic at all, but it is fun, and I guess it spices up the gameplay a bit. We talked a lot about this on the last podcast, which is a supporter content episode. So if you'd like to check that out, just search Support Foot Weekly. Nowadays on Patreon, there's a little audio preview you can listen to, in fact.
Before we segue beautifully into the future, just as a counter to the Cech max pace lengthy, you can have a pretty much max pace lengthy centre back. He's called 𝗵𝗫 and with a shadow is an unbelievable centre back. So you know you can counter the annoyance.
Yeah, he's one of those ones where, because it's a non-centre back to centre back switch, it's something that I've never been too enthusiastic about because of the penalty to defensive awareness. But in his case, with such high base defensive awareness and ridiculous stats otherwise, I think it can be allowed. Anyway, we're going to take a break and we're going to be back to talk EAFC 24 and potentially a little bit more after this break. Hello, plenty of chat on EA Sports FC coming up over the summer, and if you would like those episodes directly into your podcast feed or into your YouTube subscription box, if that's what it's called, then do subscribe via the various different podcast platforms and on YouTube. And if you would like even more content, then you could become a supporter. It's just £3 a month, and it really does keep the podcast going. It wouldn't be possible to run the podcast weekly without that support. So if you are able to support just £3 a month, that would be hugely appreciated, and you'll get plenty in return too. You can find that just by searching Support Foot Weekly or following the link in the description of the podcast. If you do consider doing that, a huge thank you, and a big thank you to those supporters too. Right, let's jump back into the pod. Hello, welcome back after the break. It is time now to talk EA Sports FC, and it's a good time to do that. The EA socials all changed to EA Sports FC on the 1st of July, and you won't see much talk, or any talk it looks like, about FIFA on there apart from the Women's World Cup, which is a new mode, by the way. And what we'll also most likely see soon, as is rumoured, is that EA reveal, which will announce FC 24 probably in the next week or so. And it's a good time to talk EA FC 24, as I said. So, Chu, with your slightly insider cap on, what are you thinking will change with content? I mean, there's probably new partnerships, things like that.
Oh, that's the part I'm most excited about, is that the chains are off, right, from EA. As someone that's worked there, a lot of things where basically, you bring all the features that you're going to have in the game or things that you want to see in the game. You got to present it to FIFA before the game's out, right? Or before you start developing. Then FIFA kind of has their say. It's not like they're like meddling in the development process, but they kind of have their say. They kind of have certain rules, regulations, yada, 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 that they want to keep up. Like, for instance, men and women. This is why I'm expecting Women's Ultimate Team, because FIFA were the ones that did not want men to be able to play competitively in-game with real characters against women, right? So now they can do that. I believe for a fact that was something that FIFA did not want. For instance, like, FIFA would never allow EA to have players take off their jerseys when they celebrate, right? Because that's a yellow card offense, yada, yada, yada. FIFA would not want players to... I remember how there was diving and cheating in the game. So could be open to more fun, something more realistic, something that just people want to see, maybe more tattoos, things like that. I think tattoos is also like a thing that like eventually they got okay with. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe so. But then in terms of partnerships, right, that can open up so many different things. Like, I think Fortnite has kind of changed the game when it comes to partnerships, where like you see them partnering with Attack on Titan and Marvel, things like that, all these crossover events. Now we can see that in FIFA if we want to. We've seen it with Marvel. That's probably, I would say the Marvel Heroes thing is probably like the test for what is coming. I think that's why they did it. That's kind of like a test to show you like, okay, do people like this? And anytime, I always tell people in the community, anytime you see EA do something kind of like crazy, wacky, like that's usually like them testing the ground for something bigger. So if you like it, show your support for it, because that tells them that they should do more of it. So I would say the Marvel thing is something like that. So I think we can see maybe a Gucci kit next year, a freaking Dolce & Gabbana, a freaking Red Bull, maybe Max Verstappen pack or something like that. Or maybe Max Verstappen gets put in the freaking game, things like that. Now, I think you're going to see more of, maybe not this first year, but you can see more of a Fortnite approach to things where it's just crazy crossovers, things that you would not expect. I'm more excited by that, to be honest with you, because for me, as somebody from the marketing department, in any video game company, marketing and development are always very different. Both teams think that the other doesn't do anything. Devs think that the game sells itself, that you can just put out the game next year with no marketing and it would sell. I disagree with that, obviously, but one thing I know about EA is, let's be real, marketing carries the game. The trailers are always just ridiculous. They're always good. The partnerships, the ideas that come out of the marketing department are always insane. Probably one of the best marketing video games of all time. I won't lie, like when I run into somebody from EA leading up to 24, they're more confident than they were before. And I'm just kind of like, I just get this aura from them where they're just like, yeah, like we get to show what we're made of this time. So I think it's going to be a good thing that they don't have the FIFA name behind them.
Get me excited, Chu.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to get people too crazy. Like, again, I'm not expecting like the gameplay to be like better all of a sudden. Like that's one thing with me is I'm not expecting like crazy gameplay. People are coming in being like, oh my God, the gameplay and server is going to be fixed. I think maybe, server is probably a good thing to fix. I think they should. Maybe they can have more resources towards it because Now they don't have to pay that huge FIFA licensing fee. So I would focus the money on that. But am I expecting like gameplay to be fixed next year? No, hell no. But I'm expecting some cool new stuff with cool new partnerships.
Yeah, definitely agree on the partnerships front, but also the enthusiasm from EA staff is pretty clear if you speak to them. I mean, I think there's this sense, and I said this before to someone, maybe not the best phrase to use if you're from the UK, but of taking back control. And while that might not quite deliver as much as people hope, it's a good motivator, gets the people going.
𝘭𝘪𝘬𝘦.
Yeah, exactly. So Josh, what are your thoughts on this? Or what are your hopes? What are your expectations? Anything along those lines?
I mean, the freedom thing sounds great, but obviously it's how you use your freedom that is going to be the biggest factor. I think the thing for me of kind of like all of the rumors and these are the things we want to see next year. The biggest thing for me is a player progression system, as in like an in-game player. You can pick them and progress them by using them and completing ongoing objectives, larger milestones that you can work towards over time. The biggest barrier I see to the kind of, score 1,000 goals and get this player is that people find cheats and ways of getting around it. We had like golden goal during icon swaps, and there's people that will go, I'll just play a friend and bang 150 goals in. Like there are those ways to get around it. And if there's a way that EA can stop that from happening and give us actual things to progress towards over longer periods of time, that's one of the things I'd really like to see. Being able to pick a player and progress them. It's something that 𝘃𝑠 has had and eFootball have had for a long period of time. It's not brilliantly executed. There are definitely some issues with it, but it definitely gave you a bit more of that connection, gave you something to work towards. Every game counted for something, even if it was just a little bit. So that's one of the things I'd like to see. But circling back, and then I'll throw to Jason for kind of what he's hoping to see. That excitement about the confidence of we're going to be able to do things in this new game. I read an article, so I don't know exactly how true this is, but I read an article that said that FIFA and EA, they kind of knew this was coming about 3 or 4 years ago. And through looking at the history of the FIFA games of Ultimate Team and what new features have been added, it tended to seem like we were always on like a 2-year cycle of big changes happened every 2 years. Even in between those 2 years, there would be a new addition. And if you actually look at the game for the last 3 or 4 years, there hasn't really been a big addition. We've had changes to the champ structure. We've had changes to reward structure, but nothing huge. The biggest addition this year was moments and maybe a slight change in the chemistry, the change in the chemistry system, but not a huge feature or new game mode that's really going to entice people. I don't think moments has worked in that way. So my hope is that they've been saving up the good ideas they've had over the last 3 or 4 years. And maybe this is also why we didn't get a FIFA World Cup standalone mode. It might have been that it was earlier in the game cycle, but maybe that's why we didn't get one this year, whereas we have done in the past. That they've been saving up some of that and putting their efforts into the new game. That's my kind of like hopes that I'm getting more and more like hopeful for. So I'm setting myself up for a major disappointment, but I'm hoping that they do follow through.
Jason, let's move on to you. Any particular thoughts on this? I know we've covered a lot already.
My real desire is ideally gameplay improvements. I know that's quite an obvious thing to say. I do think personally the gameplay needs to be just, improved a bit. I haven't really enjoyed the gameplay this year compared to other years, but I think I say that most years. So that's just one of those things. But my main desire is it to be like gameplay driven content, opposed to like store pack content. At the moment this year, we've seen 400k packs, 500k packs, 100 rare gold packs in store. I'm not bothered about that. I don't want that.
Buddy, that's just the beginning, buddy.
I know.
Yeah,
I know, that's the thing.
It was a 30% increase in 30 to 40% increase on year revenue.
I'm not saying I don't want
in-game
them there.
purchases for first 3 months of this game. So,
yeah, I'm not saying I don't want them there. I want there to be a focus around gameplay driven content. Like for instance, I want to be able to log onto the game and progress. Like at the moment, what is it? 8 rivals wins, FUT Champs qualification during the week, maybe a cup if we get it, and then FUT Champs of the weekend. But like, I want there to be a reason where like I can just pick the game up and work towards something, you know, and the objectives, the player, like, you know, like the player progression system, as Josh was saying, but anything that just means that, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, but like I want to play the game for fun without feeling like every mode is a sweat, right? Like with the friendlies this year, the skill-based matchmaking in friendlies is crazy. So whatever mode I play at the moment, I feel like I have to sit down and really, really sweat for. And I don't want that. I just want to pick the game up and enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree because that's kind of why I kind of phased out of playing gameplay because it just felt like a job. But going back to what you're saying about the packs, I mean, when I saw those different packs, I'm like, yep, they're testing something because something's coming. And if they test it and if they test these different packs and they work, then you're definitely going to see with FC24.
They definitely work because it's all over my timeline every time one's released. So
oh yeah, so you're gonna see some wackier stuff. And now that they have more freedom, they're just gonna go crazy. Because the thing is that like, all right, with 24, they gotta come correct with this one. They're starting a brand from scratch, but that's kind of why I say I believe the marketing is gonna carry 24 because again, it's a brand new brand, it's a brand new name. So they're going to have to market the hell out of it. They're going to have to put their best foot forward, both marketing and gameplay. I'm never usually as confident with gameplay, but at the same time, they do have to put their best foot forward because they need to have an engaging experience because essentially they want the FIFA brand name to be forgotten about. So how do you make it be forgotten about? Good marketing and a great gameplay experience. So hopefully you do get that objective-based gameplay systems that you're asking for because, again, they got to be on their best behavior. The goal is to keep as many people who played the game FIFA and convert them to an FC player and keep them there, right? So the saving features, I won't lie to you. Yes, that is a thing that happens. That is a thing I'm expecting. I was not expecting that much to go into 23, to be honest with you. Just using my EA brain, I kind of was literally expecting nothing because, again, I'll be honest with you, this whole EA separation from FIFA almost happened in my time. It almost happened in 16, I believe. Because I remember having to come up with a report about sentiment about what would happen if the two decided to break up. Because I think that was the last time the contract was negotiated. Probably 2016, somewhere around there. So we've almost gone through this before. Everybody kind of in EA probably knew this was going to happen sooner or later. And they probably knew about it happening a year or two before it actually happened. So yes, they're probably going to keep things back so that they can have a bigger, better experience for 24. So not to like get the hopes up, but then again, you want to present the best possible thing that you've presented in the last decade. So I do expect something brand new, something big, brand new, but I'll be honest, I'm just expecting the marketing to be absolutely ridiculous and still be pack driven because, I mean, at the end of the day, they want to make money. The packs have made money. They need to make sure that this makes as much money as possible so that they can take this brand further in 25, 26 because, what's his name? Infantino says they're going to be making a FIFA 25. So EA needs to make money so that the 25 absolutely destroys whatever FIFA is going to come with, right? So Lord knows what we're going to get.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw this, Stuart. I don't know how reliable the rumors are, but there's potential for Euro 2024 licensing.
Ooh. It would make sense. They're UEFA, right? And UEFA is not part of FIFA. So
yeah, if
EA has the UEFA license, then I would assume that EA would want to make that be a big thing. Because if I'm FIFA, the next opportunity, sorry to go on, but the next opportunity that FIFA, the organization, has to look forward to is World Cup 26. That's like the big one. North American focus, big market. So whatever they're planning, they're probably going to plan it for FIFA 26, for a World Cup 26. So if you're EA, you probably want to take advantage of Euros. You're going to act as if Euros is bigger than World Cup. It's like a bigger tournament. So that's how I see things going. I'm not expecting anything from FIFA until 2025, which would be then the road to World Cup 26.
Yeah, and actually probably the final thing to just mention on this, and we're going to discuss this plenty more, of course, over the summer. We'll have more information. But Chu, in terms of the competition, do you think that is something that internally EA will be somewhat concerned about and will kind of motivate them to some extent? Because it might not be next year, but as you say, the World Cup is obviously FIFA's flagship thing. It's bound to be a way they can drive people to a new franchise. So do you think there'll be concern? And might that be a positive because people higher up will be like, right, we need to be really on our game for the next few years?
I have been thinking about this, and actually, I ran into another ex-employee, an EA employee from the Ultimate FIFA team who had left in recent years. And our concern was that, when PES was dominating and, up until 2009, and then EA took over in 2009 to, when Ultimate Team started, like, those guys who lived through that know what it felt like to lose because they were losing. So I even remember when PES used to come out when I was at EA, this is like 2013, even when like FIFA 13 was doing good, FIFA 14 was doing good. When PES came out, the execs would drop a copy of PES at everybody's desk and they'd be like, play it, tell us what's good, tell us what's bad, tell us if it sucks or not, just tell me everything. Because those guys had seen when they were second to PES and they never want to see that happen again. I remember they used to take that very seriously, even though it was dominating, FIFA was dominating. Now, I don't know if that whole team is still there. The new team or the team that's, this is a 10, 15-year thing. The people there now have only seen winning in Ultimate Team. They've only seen numbers go up. Like, everything's gone up since 2013, right? So it's like, are those guys able to, and I do trust them, but I'm like, if something doesn't go their way, are they able to turn the ship back? Do they know what it feels like to be? Because they could be second, but they're probably not going to be, but do they have that drive? I do believe that they do because, again, I've seen the machine and I trust it. And I know that they're going to be watching over their backs. I think there's going to be enough people there who are OGs who are going to know that, hey, we got to do the best that we can. And it'll sell very well. And I don't think that they need the FIFA brand name. I think they're going to start something new. And they're going to bring their biggest guns. You're going to see Beckham, Zidane, Mbappe. You're going to see every celebrity promoting this thing.
Yeah. If they're moving that budget from spending it on FIFA, as they have done, and moving that to marketing, I mean, it is going to be an enormous marketing budget, which they'll need, I guess, to some extent to make sure people are aware of the new brand and everything. So, yeah, it's probably a good place to end it. I know we could talk plenty more about this, and we will do, but we need to stop for now. So thank you very much, Chu, for coming on and sharing your insight on this.
No worries, no worries.
And where can people find you, actually, if people want to follow you on social media?
Yes, just at ChuBoi on all social media, except for Twitch. It's at ChuBoi, ChuBoi 7 with the number.
Nice. Thank you. And we'll say thank you as well to Jason, a.k.a. Kimpembro. Where can people find you?
Yeah, it's literally just at Kimpembro on all socials. If you want to chat to me, Twitter's the best place because, as long as Elon doesn't kill it, that's where I spend most of my time.
Nice. It's been great to have you on again. And finally, as always, pretty much to Josh, thank you very much for coming on.
Yes, thank you for having me. Fascinating discussions. I'm getting excited. So hopefully, I think it's just it's the unknown, isn't it? So we'll know more soon. Hopefully,
very soon.
Yeah, and you know what is known? It's how close we are to 1,000 subscribers on the Foot Weekly podcast YouTube. Yes, if you are over there, or even if you're not, then do drop a subscription. We'd like to get there before EAFC 24, and if you are there, then do drop a like, drop a comment, and also if you fancy an extra podcast every single week, this week it will be the gameplay episode, next week it will be the content episode. Actually, things might be a bit different next week, but still, if you'd like double the podcast content, an extra podcast every week, then you can subscribe for just £3 a month over on Patreon. Just search Support Foot Weekly or follow the link in the description. A huge thank you to all those supporters out there who keep this podcast going, including those icon patrons: Dave B, 𝘭𝘰, Coach Vass, DJ FIFA Player, Alan G, Alistair, Anthony R, Dominic P, Rob P, Jeff B, Stephen F, Tom B, Damon H, David S, Nick Jack M, Eric T, Neil P, Adam G, Dan W, Waterman, N Hagman, Harry A, Jake G, Roger D, Springford, Alec, Bracco, Nishant, Harry P, Alex M, Lee A, Brendan W, Andrew C, Joe W, Timothy J, Dylan, J Kell, Ibis24, Adam R, Sam K, Graham W, Andy, Ads H2K, and Brian V. Plus a special thanks to Luke M, Dave B, Hugh J, Tom M, Darren W, and Pato Foot for advice and production assistance. Before I leave you, just one more thing to add, though. FIFA's a bit like life, really. It has its many ups and its many downs. If you're having a few more downs than ups in real life in these more difficult times, then please don't feel that you're alone or need to struggle on without taking action. If you go to thecalmzone.net, there's loads of resources, advice, support, or even just a friendly chat for anyone who needs it. If it sounds like it could help you, then head over to thecalmzone.net. And for now, have a good one, and I'll catch you on the next podcast.